Hello, I am Wanderer001 and this is my review of the Honeywell TL8230A1003, or for short, the Honeywell line voltage digital 7-day programmable thermostat. That's still a mouthful, but a little easier to say than its actual numbering system. So, recently, well, not recently, about a year ago, I replaced some electrical baseboard heaters in my condo. And I had an old-fashioned digital programmable thermostat that was low voltage. Now, through some chicanery and odd wiring back when the condo complex was built, they managed to get a line voltage electric baseboard heater to cooperate and work with a low voltage digital thermostat. So when I replaced that particular electrical baseboard unit, I got a new thermostat because when they came in, well, when I ordered the baseboard heater, they're like, okay, you'll get a new thermostat. I'm like, okay, I have a thermostat. They're like, no, you'll get a new one. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, I'll take a new one. Well, the new one that came with my baseboard heater looked like this. A non-programmable basic dial thermostat. Now, this was one part of the problem. The other part of the problem is because we had to use the electrician that our condo board approved, they also were lazy and mounted this to an exterior facing wall that was just above the electrical baseboard unit. So needless to say, last year my electric bills ran pretty high, even higher so because we had that polar vortex back in 2013. So I was, needless to say, not very happy with that thermostat or its location. So I got a new thermostat, the Honeywell here. And I got a different electrician who was like, where do you want it? You want it over where the old one was? Sure, I'll put it over where the old one was. Easy peasy, simple, done. Don't know why it was such a big deal with the other guy. But, new thermostat, digital, programmable. Very similar to the other type I had. The only difference, as you can see on the wall, because I have this lovely wallpaper that really needs to go, it was a horizontal thermostat. This one is a vertical thermostat. So that's really the only difference between the two. This one is a line voltage thermostat, meaning that part of it sits behind. There is the metal box that is recessed into the wall, and then you have your front part here, which is what you'll be interacting with. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth with the actual voltages and things like that. I will put those in the description of the video so you can look at them there if you want, as well as a link to the Amazon store where I purchased this, because I went to a lot of the big box retailers trying to find this particular model because I found it on Amazon. I'm like, well, let me go to a store so I can ask more questions and pick it up same day and, you know, install it, which is another thing I'll get into before I talk about the general product dimensions and stuff. I changed out all the electrical outlets and switches in my condo. Now, this is similar in installation to that, but if you're not comfortable doing that, you're probably going to want to contact an electrician. In my case, this one here, because it needed to be moved and wires had to be run, that was a little bit beyond my skill set, so I got an electrician, and it was a good thing I did because he ended up tapping into the breaker box directly for this one because he had trouble getting some lines through my ceiling. So keep that in mind, know your comfort level. So I went to a big box store trying to find this one because it's reasonably cheap comparatively, and could not. Everything I found was in the triple digits, and I didn't want to pay that for a digital thermostat regardless of how good it was. The majority of the ones that I was finding was, ooh, can connect to the internet, and I'm like, I don't really need that. It's an apartment. Internet connection sometimes isn't great because of all the people who use wireless. So, went and purchased it on Amazon. You're going to look anywhere between $50 to $70 depending on the sales that they're having or where Amazon is in flux. Back to the unit itself. You're looking at 4.8 inches in height, 2.8 inches in width, and the depth is not entirely important because, again, part of it sits recessed in the wall and the front-facing plate doesn't stick out really all that much. So if you had a thermostat, it's going to stick out just as much as the previous thermostat did. You've been looking at this Probably now you can see it a little better. This bar across the bottom here is a switch to turn on the light. You can see at the top here it does have programmable time as well as temperature display. Now there's a lot of things happening right now on the screen, and I did that partially as a demonstration purpose for the unit itself. Right here you're going to see a clock flashing. What that indicates is that I have overridden the programmed, which is displayed right here, temperature setting. So when you override the temperature setting, it's going to flash that clock letting you know that during this particular timing phase, it's going to override to the temperature that you have set it to. That's pretty good if, like, it's got 4 programmable cycles per day, and it's got the wake, away, return, and sleep mode. So if I'm homesick on a work day, which is normally during the week, I just override this, and for the entirety of this cycle, it's going to be on the new temperature. And I do realize I was pointing at this A before. I am trying to do this while looking at the camera screen and doing backwards motions. So what I was pointing at was this A icon here, which just indicates that it's reading ambient temperature in the vicinity. So if we open up the panel, which is on the left of the unit, you'll see an on-off switch. So during the summertime, if you don't want to have to worry about this accidentally kicking on, you turn it in the off position, and that will turn the heating unit off. It will still display the temperature and the time. Coming down the side here, we have a few options. These are controls for programming the different aspects of your thermostat. And over here, obviously more controls. So you've got these 2 side wings that you can keep either closed or open depending on how you want to work with it. The ones over here are less for programmable purposes, but more of like actual actions that you want to happen. This first one here is daytime. So let's say you don't want to have to come down here, which is your temperature up and down. So if I click on temperature up and down, we'll readjust the temperature, and you'll know that you're adjusting the temperature because that arrow will be there letting you know this is what you're doing, and this is the current temperature. Now you can see the temperature has gone up a little bit because I kind of have my hand over by it warming it up. So normally that doesn't happen. So daytime temperature, you want to not adjust these. Just quick press the day temperature and it will automatically raise to the daytime temperature. Now by default that daytime temperature is set for 70, and that was one of the big things why I avoided these, because I didn't know how to change the program presets, but now I do. All you have to do is set it in this mode to the temperature you want and press and hold on the icon or the button that you wish to change the temperature for. So you can change daytime, nighttime, and this one is vacation mode. So if you want to drop it drastically while you're away. If you have pets, probably don't want to do that. And then over here, like I said, these are your thermostat up and down. Anytime you interact with the button, the light will automatically turn on, or you could just press that center button. So let's get into some of the modes. And again, I will attempt to do this while looking at the video camera screen, so just bear with me. This button I'm hovering over right now is the mode button. If we press the mode button, we can cycle through the different modes. You'll notice that the house icon here went away and a little finger icon is there currently. What that indicates is now I'm in full manual mode, and I have overridden the preset schedule, which is this mode here. This mode indicates that it is on timed, and like I said, if you adjust the temperature, it will override the time, and then it will start blinking. You have a clear button here. Moving up, this is how you get into actual programming of the days. Here you'll notice this is Monday, and it's displaying 6 a.m. That is the first wake mode. If you cycle through program, now it is demonstrating still Monday, and now this is leave mode at 8 a.m. Return mode at 6 p.m. and sleep mode at 10 p.m. Now, normally I don't utilize the schedule. I really should utilize the schedule, and I think after playing with it more for doing this review, I probably will use the schedule more, which is why the times are kind of odd. But to jump to a different day, you come up to this top button and select day. And you can see now it's on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, with the weekends, generally it's just going to come pre-programmed for wake, and here you can see leave and return have the dashes across the top. That indicates that there's no time set because you're probably going to be at your house on those days. If you want to adjust the time, all you have to do is come over here to the hour and minute and push either or, and it will adjust. Now, obviously you can see the minute is in 15-minute increments, so you're not going to get super granular controls, but that's not terrible. Likewise, hours you can actually change with granular controls, but again, you kind of need that. If you wish to, as you can see, this is still on Sunday, if you wish to not have a night mode, or on any of the screens, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you just want to skip something, come here, hit the clear button. Well, now it's not going to have a programming. Whatever the previous program will be held over through that time period. And we're just going to come back here and we've pushed the mode reset. I did neglect to say that it is daylight savings compliant if you are in a part of the country or world that uses daylight savings time. It's through the programs. It's in the handy dandy little book that comes with the thermostat. So once you set the time and day and indicate that you want to follow daylight savings time, it will continue to follow daylight savings time. There also is a mode called early start. Now, the thermostat itself is in two parts. The first part is this part here, the faceplate which you're interacting with, and then you can take it off, and then the portion that's mounted in the back has pins that connect to the front of this, which is how it talks back and forth, as well as three little switches over here in the right-hand corner. Now, I'm not going to take this off right now because I'm filming this on the weekend, and it's cold outside. It's like one of the coldest days so far we've had this winter. So I kind of want to keep my heat going. So I'm not going to be taking that off at the moment, but there are three switches. You need to take the second switch and make sure it is in the up position. That will be early start. So what that would do is if you have it programmed to turn on at 6 a.m. because that's when you get ready for work, the thermostat will determine what is, based on the environment around and its past cycling, what is the optimal time that it needs to turn on, that when you wake up at 6 a.m., it is already to the desired temperature you had it set at. If you don't have it set like that, switches in the back, in the case when I had it on, 6 a.m., that is when the thermostat will kick on, and then you have to wait for it to get to temperature. Now, one of the benefits to this particular thermostat over some of the other ones I had looked at was it has I want to say variable heating stage, because it's not. It's a one-stage heating unit. It's either on or off. But depending on the temperature, it determines how much power it needs to send to your electrical baseboard unit. So I've raised the temperature by 1 degree. You heard that subtle click, I'm hoping, which is another benefit of this particular unit, is that it's supposed to have a quieter on-off click than other units. Now, it is quieter, but it is still noticeable in a very quiet house, or if you're, in my case, the thermostat here is right next to the couch, which is just outside of view. But these icons here are supposed to be little flames, and based on the amount of flames is the amount of power that's going to the baseboard heater. It can have between 1 and 5 flames. The amount of flames indicates the amount of power that's going to your baseboard heater. So it will, on occasion, turn on 1 to 2 flames while maintaining the temperature. All right, that was it clicking off. What it does, with my old thermostat, it would have to actually drop a degree before it would engage the thermostat. With this one, even before it drops, because it's monitoring the ambient temperature, it can sense that slight drop in temperature as it, is cooling off in the room, and determine that it should send a little bit of power to kind of keep the level of heat that you currently have. And Really, that's a nice feature to have, especially if you're stuck with electric heat like I am, because the drastic change in heat sometimes is very noticeable. So this unit takes care of that. So if you're looking for a programmable digital line thermostat for electrical baseboard heaters, I would highly suggest checking this one out. It was one of the cheaper ones that I could find, and it has a lot of features that I was looking for. I understand that this one was a little ramblier than you may have thought you would have gotten for a thermostat review, but I'm trying to give you as much information as possible to help you decide if this is something that you want to purchase for your home. So I've been Wonder001. If you're looking for any information on the unit, I'll put it in the description area below, as well as a link to Amazon, so you can check that page out too. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you found this helpful.